And welcome here to Talk SCB, and welcome back here to the channel, guys. And once again here today, we are going to be looking ahead to the summer transfer window, and in particular, we are going to be casting our eyes over our midfield and looking at 4 different players who I feel could come into our midfield and make a significant impact in the season to come. And looking at the future, we're going to be looking at those 4 players in depth, any reports linking them to us, and deciding really whether we could see any of them join Barcelona come this summer transfer window. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some midfield talk. So first of all, guys, let me just make it clear, each of these players would be in addition to the arrival of Arthur Melo, which could of course be this summer, but most likely right now, it's looking like Arthur will arrive in January 2019. And of course, when he does arrive, I think that he'll make a real impact. I think he's a great midfielder with a lot of potential, but he will need time to establish himself and really settle in to Spanish football. And likewise, this will also be in addition to the likes of Carlos Alenia, any player stepping up from Barcelona B to the first team. Maybe it could happen this summer for Alenia, and they also would need time to establish themselves and would need time to really get a feel for first team football. So I think the midfielders that I'm going to mention in this video are top quality, they're experienced, they're at the peak of their powers, and all of them are very slightly different too. So kicking off with THIAGO ALCANTARA. And of course, guys, you did see this one coming. You expected me to mention Thiago's name. Of course you did. A player that of course left the club earlier on in his career. It's been several years now since he joined Bayern Munich. Year upon year upon year we're linked with him, but this time there's actually some serious substance behind a potential move from Bayern to Barça. And that's simply because since he's left the club, if Bayern have wanted to keep him, they've always kept him. Bayern are always in control of their own destiny. If they don't want to sell him, he will not be sold. It's as simple as that. But right now there are some serious murmurs coming out of Bayern Munich about Thiago and his future. Word has it that Bayern are not completely satisfied with his performances in big games, and if the right offer arrived for Thiago this summer, they could actually part ways with the Spanish midfielder. And in fact, Bayern Munich legend Lothar Matthäus actually came out very recently and absolutely blasted Thiago in a recent interview. He said these exact words: "Thiago hasn't made the difference in the big games. I actually think he's a good player, but he's been a shadow to his former self recently. He's disappointed me in the past few weeks. I don't know where his head is right now. With these performances, he is not a player that Bayern Munich needs. If a suitable offer is on the table, then Bayern Munich should really think about it." And that there are the words of a Bayern Munich legend in Lothar Matthäus. And that's very interesting indeed, because it does seem to be the feeling right now of Bayern Munich. Because admittedly, you know, in Bayern's first leg match against Real Madrid in this season's Champions League knockout stage, Thiago underperformed. He didn't have his best game. He made a few bad passes, a little bit lapse on the ball, very much unlike him. There's no doubt about that. But at the same time, exactly the same could be said for arguably every single Bayern Munich player. And that's over both legs. Bayern were poor as a team. Collectively, they didn't do enough against Real. And in the second leg, actually, I thought Thiago had a much better game. He was really good in that second leg. He got on the ball a lot more. He was looking more confident. And he did penetrate Real Madrid midfield several times. And overall in the Champions League this season, he's made 10 appearances, has Thiago. He scored against Anderlecht in the group stage and also against Besiktas and Sevilla in the knockout rounds. And also in the Bundesliga this season, he's made 12 starts with 7 sub-appearances. Not all that many, to be honest, over the course of a season. He scored twice and assisted twice, as Bayern, of course, won yet another league title in Germany. And in terms of his passing stats, which we are going to look at for each individual player, his average pass completion rate is just over 91%, which is very impressive, and actually the highest of any player that we're going to talk about in this video. And he completes an average of 64 passes per game. And Thiago, clearly a very talented midfield player, somebody who can hold the ball, somebody who can move the ball. He's a controlling player, but he can also be creative. Problem with injuries, of course. If he can get through that, he could be a good acquisition for any club in the world. But it isn't all about Thiago in this video. We are now going to move on to Jorginho, the 26-year-old Italian midfielder who's very much become a household name really at the top of football nowadays. Very much a midfielder who's been growing in stature now for several years really at Napoli, originally under the radar, but now I think he really is highly rated in the game, and rightly so. Although strangely enough, up until about a few weeks ago, we had never ever been linked with the transfer of Jorginho. But even now, it's looking very unlikely that we are going to get our hands on this man. He's been very, very heavily linked to Manchester City. It looks very likely that he will be linking up with Pep Guardiola at Man City. But we were very briefly linked with him in the Italian media just a few weeks ago. Sky Italia did say that Barcelona would try to rival the likes of Man City for Jorginho's signature this summer. And actually this season, he has been outstanding. Really, really impressive in that midfield. You can see why the very biggest clubs want to acquire him. And Jorginho was very, very key in Napoli's title challenge. They came so close to securing that elusive title in Italy, but they just about missed out to Juventus. And he was key in everything they did. The beating heart of their team, the metronome really at the base of that midfield, always keeping the ball ticking over, keeping everything moving, keeping everybody on their toes, and always looking for the best passing option, creating those passing lanes and doing it absolutely brilliantly. And that midfield dominance really is clearly portrayed in the stats when you look at Jorginho. His average pass completion rate is 89%, which might actually be lower than THIAGO's numerically, but it is potentially even more impressive when you consider that he actually averages nearly double the passes that THIAGO does every single game. A huge 93 passes Jorginho averages each game that he plays. That is the highest out of any player that we're going to talk about in this video, and that is Jorginho. Somebody who is going to control things, he's going to dictate things, he's going to control the pace of a game. When you need to put the pressure on, he's going to be the man providing it from those deep lying positions, and when you need to take the pressure off, he is going to be the man relieving the defence of all that pressure. He's a fantastic player, a brilliant midfielder, and whoever gets him this summer is going to be much better off. Number 3 on today's list will be Miralem Pjanic, the oldest player actually on the list today at 28 years old, but a man who still possesses an enormous amount of quality in midfield, a lot of experience as well to go with that, which comes of course with his age. And we've actually been linked with the move to Pjanic right throughout his career. Even when he was at Roma, we were heavily linked with him then, and to be honest, we should have just gone ahead and signed him when he left Roma just 2 years ago now for just 32 million euros. We didn't do that. Juventus got there, they were the team to proceed with the move, and since then he's won 2 straight Serie A titles and has also appeared in 1 Champions League final since. And he's a player for me who always looks comfortable in possession. On the ball, he always looks good, always clean and tidy. He's capable of working hard on and off the ball for the team. You've seen that at Juventus, a team who are really hard working in everything they do. That midfield is not only good on the ball, but very good off it as well. And that is Pjanic in a nutshell. And that's not to mention, of course, his well-renowned ability from set pieces, both in terms of taking them from corners, from free kicks, and also from scoring from them as well. And as we've seen really, season upon season, he does score goals, he does create goals, and this season once again for Juventus, he has contributed with 5 goals and 8 assists in Serie A. And in terms of his game on the ball, his passing stats do back up that very impressive record that he has. He has an 89% pass accuracy right throughout this season, and he averages 64 passes per game. Again, good numbers, a very good player, top quality. And finally then, the last player on the list is Christian Eriksen, currently of course playing his football at Tottenham, and yet another player really who's improved season upon season, and especially really under Mauricio Pochettino at Tottenham. He's gone from strength to strength and really has become a lot more consistent and clinical really in the final third of the pitch. And another man really that we have been linked to during the past year or so, he's somebody who would welcome move to Barca if Danish reports to be believed. A big article of course came out about a month ago now linking Eriksen with Barca. He reportedly wants that move, but will we make that move for him? He's 26 years old now, and the most creative player out of all of the 4 we've mentioned. One of the players who's going to be the most advanced in the field. He will look to create. That is his sole purpose. But of course, without Andres Iniesta anymore, we do need to find some creativity from somewhere, and Eriksen could certainly be the man to provide that. Once again this season, for club, for country, the beating heart of their teams going forward, creating chances from wide areas, coming central, coming deep, dropping off, going closer to the centre forward. He can do it all. And in the Premier League this season, he has really showcased those kind of talents, reaching double figures for both goals and assists in the Premier League this season, registering 10 each. 10 goals, 10 assists for Eriksen. And his passing stats, to be honest, highlight the fact that he's more of a creator than a controller. He's more likely to be closer to the goal than further away in a deep midfield position. He has the lowest pass success rate of all 4 players at 82%, and his average passes per game standing at 59. Again, again, the lowest out of all of them. But at the same time, ERIKSEN does give you that creative edge. He does give you somebody in that midfield who's going to be a bit more advanced. And at the same time, you need these kind of players in your team. And to summarise, guys, I'd often look at these players now, each one of the four, THIAGO, ERIKSEN, PJANIČ, JORGINHO, and I'd say, sign this guy. Sign this guy because he is the man who could come in and improve our team, and he's the guy that we need. But I honestly believe that if you look at these four players, you could pick any one of these four, and they would come into our midfield and they would shake it up. They would give us a significant advantage. They would really, really improve our team, any one of them. So it's going to be very, very interesting this season and this summer to see if we do pursue a midfielder. We've got Arthur. That's a good step in the right direction. We might promote Aleñà, but I think we still need a bit more. We've lost Iniesta. We might be selling Gomez. You've got Rakitic and Busquets who are getting on now. They're not getting any younger. We need to start looking at our midfield. Will we make a big midfield signing this summer? That is the big question. I think we still need to. I do still think we need something a bit more in that midfield. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, guys. Out of all these four, which one would you sign? And of course, if there's somebody else on your mind, please let me know in the comments down below. Thank you, as always, for joining me, guys. There will be lots more videos coming up on the channel right throughout the summer on everything you could possibly think of. I'll see you next time, whatever we're going to discuss. But until then, as always, Vesca! El Barça!